Welcome to another episode of Mr. Therapist and the Counselor Podcast. We are your guide to personal recovery, whether you're dealing with an addiction, a mental health issue, hey, maybe you're just trying to figure out life. We empower your growth, and we're here to demystify therapy. We are the best mental health and recovery podcast. Jesse O.
This week on the podcast, we're going to talk about distorted thinking related to the CBT model.
Share the show. If you find some value, if he makes you laugh, share the damn show. Here we go.
Finally.
Do it.
Finally.
Commit.
What do I say? The Rock has come back.
The podcast has come back.
Finally. Mr. Therapist and the Counselor has come back. Okay.
To YouTube.
Yeah, we were watching some footage of The Rock.
Yeah,
so.
we're amped.
We're amped right now, man. You ready to go?
Oh, my gosh.
Rock
I'm
bottom,
so
baby.
ready.
I've hit rock bottom, and it's I'd rather have taken a wrestling move from Dwayne Johnson than my actual rock bottom. So
there's no other wrestler that can make the elbow move as cool as
the people's
Rock.
elbow.
Yeah, like come on. Like, after you really analyze it, you just hit the guy with the rib cage with your elbow.
It was a Rock's elbow, though.
Yeah, so they made it was greatness. It was the most electrifying move in sports entertainment.
Yeah, pro wrestling.
But what's up, man? How are you?
Good, man. Like I said, we got amped on The Rock before the podcast. Who needs fucking energy drinks?
Brahma Bull, baby.
There we go. I'm pretty good, man. I'm pretty good. I'm pretty good today. So, how about you? What's going on with you?
Doing pretty good. I've been following some Instagram accounts.
He loves Instagram. He loves our account. You should love our account, Mr. Therapist and Counselor. Like that, love it.
We've been posting every single day.
Every single day.
And I don't know. Have you seen stuff recently around emotional monitoring?
Yeah, I did. You messed with Dave's hat?
Yeah, I did.
You're playing with Dave, dude. Why does Dave look so depressed this week?
Actually, if you turn the hat around, he kind of looks like Donald Trump. You know?
I don't have a comment to that. So, wait, Dave Bautista doesn't look like anyways.
No, but like it looks like a toupee.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh God. There you go. Sorry, that doesn't really matter to anybody, but it's a personal control issue I'm having right now. Yeah. So we were talking about you love Instagram.
No, yeah. Have you heard about emotional monitoring?
Why don't you sit back?
Because
you're just amped
with the people.
Okay.
Here, dude.
No. Tell me. Say it again, because I'm not paying attention.
Emotional monitoring.
You found emotional monitoring on Instagram.
Have you heard about it?
No, I haven't until we talked before the show. Come on, bro. You know we fucking talk about this stuff before the beginning.
I do.
Yeah,
So
pound it out.
I wish you had rings on. So, emotional monitoring, I felt personally attacked because apparently emotional monitoring is when you are constantly checking if your partner is okay.
Oh my
and
gosh.
So it's like, the example that I saw was like a couple was driving and the wife was quiet and then the guy goes, "Hey, are you okay?" And the wife's like, "Yeah, I'm fine." And the guy's like almost like skeptical, doesn't believe, like, "Are you sure? Mm-hmm. Come on, you're not okay. What's going on?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "Damn, this sounds like me."
Sounds like me too.
And so it's a new term that I, at first I was like, man, I thought I was just being super like conscientious of what my partner might be going through.
Aware what's happening with her.
Yeah, but I guess I'm emotionally monitoring, so.
Is this a bad thing?
I think so.
You said you felt attacked, so I guess it is a bad thing.
Well, I felt like oh, that's me on the screen. But I think the way it can be a bad thing is you can almost start a fight because of it, right? It's almost like, no, something is wrong. Like you don't
believe it. Okay, so maybe it's not good when you really just can't take that person's at their word, right? So
or you're uncomfortable, so you now make it like an issue, right? Because it's like maybe you're feeling uncomfortable with the quiet or whatnot.
Since you do that in your own personal relationship, do you ever feel like maybe your partner, doesn't have to be now, maybe in the past, do you feel like sometimes they're just not really good at expressing what they're feeling? Because I feel like I do that. One is feel like there's like this sense of like I probably did something wrong to upset her, and then two, I probably from my past relationships, I felt like emotions there'd be a lot of resentment sitting on my past relationships. So I'm like, I know something's cooking up in there. They just haven't served it to me yet.
I know I messed up some way.
Exactly. I'm like, are you okay? You good, right? You okay?
Did you find out what I did last summer?
That's right. I know what you did last summer.
No, but I think in the dynamic with my wife, I'm like the funny guy in the relationship. So sometimes I'll say a joke that's maybe like pushing a button a little too much, or that maybe a little inappropriate. My wife takes it a little personal.
Yeah. Serving some raw chicken. You're like, this is good, right? This is dinner.
Just kidding.
That's a raw chicken throwback to our conversation we had on our podcast. Anyways.
He's still going, 39 days.
He passed away though, right?
No,
after day 40, right?
He's not. He's going strong. Raw Chicken Experiment Instagram profile. Go check it out.
About that. But you can come on the show though.
But the dynamic is that of like, usually my wife is frustrated with me. You know what I mean? And so
I know that. Yeah.
And so I think that like, maybe I'm like a little worried sometimes. I'm like, wait, you're kind of quiet. Like, did I do something wrong?
Yeah.
Did I? So but it's all fun and games. I feel like we
know how to handle
you,
it. Right? Yeah.
Until she's hitting me.
Yeah. So no, I think I do that. They put a title on it, so
we're messed up.
No, we're all screwed. We're all screwed up. Guess what? Go on the internet. You'll figure out quickly that you are screwed up. There's no doubt about it. There's nobody that's not on the Instagram or on the internet that isn't looking it up going, man, I'm kind of fucked up. I'm fucked up because I just looked at this for 30 minutes too. So we all got problems. That's why you should listen to Mr. Therapist and the counselor. Not that we're going to solve your problems, but maybe you could be like, these guys, they've dealt with a lot of problems. They are problematic.
They're just like me.
But they're getting better, and they're giving help to other people.
Yeah, they are. And talking about problems, we had a video about family roles recently, right?
Oh, we're going to talk about this?
Yeah.
Damn, dude.
And
I didn't even look at my cheat sheet.
We were talking about the lost child was one of the family roles.
Yeah.
And we got a lot of responses around that reel. A lot of comments, and one of the comments
why was the lost child so popular all those ones?
Maybe a lot of people connected to it.
You said it so well.
Did I?
Yeah,
probably.
you really you have such good grammar.
Do I?
Yeah.
Oh gosh, good, because I don't think so sometimes.
You've lost all the twang in your voice.
Man, now that I'm getting prepared, I'm becoming prepared.
Oh my gosh, dude.
I'm gonna get even better.
Yeah. So but the lost child really did draw in a lot of people. Why do you think that was like people
just probably relate to it, right? People really maybe so the lost child is the one that's most voiceless, I think, of the family. So maybe in some way feeling validated, not usually having a voice, not usually speaking about your experience.
Yeah.
Maybe they felt like this group of people felt super validated in that reel.
Right.
But one comment in particular struck me. I don't know if did you see it on YouTube?
Remind me. I might have. So
the comment was. Just checking that our mics are on.
Cool. 1 1 2.
Because man, he's always messing
New York,
up.
Unique New York.
Oh my God,
bro! I got so much trauma on that stuff. You need to knock
Can you let the people in on that?
First off, this guy he jokes too much. He'll be like, "Hey, we didn't record." He'll be like, "Oh crap, we didn't record the audio." And then which is a real valid problem for a 20-minute episode we just recorded. And then he's like, just kidding. It's right here. And then so he does that at least one recording session. So often you do this.
This is what I mean by how flawed I am. So my wife would really
I get it, dude. That's why I was like, oh yeah. I feel your wife there, man, on that one.
Anyway.
Keep talking because I want to find my cheat sheets.
So, we talked about the lost child, and there was, I guess, first of all, just letting you know what the lost child is. Again, revisiting the topic. The lost child is the person in the family who usually goes unnoticed. They don't really speak up for their needs. They're usually playing by themselves or very quiet. And so the family that is dysfunctional has a lot of things going on. And so they don't focus or really give a lot of attention to the lost child. So, and they almost feel like it's a good thing. Like we don't have to worry about this child. But in actuality, the lost child has a lot of needs that don't get met, and so there's a lot of issues that they could develop with emotionally and mentally.
I think it was Claudia Black, right? PhD. She's the one that kind of developed the initial
Yeah,
family
that was
roles.
good.
Thanks,
Yeah,
bro.
so
That's
smart.
not even on the cheat sheet I have in front of me. It's down there somewhere. So I just remembered that.
You did.
But I was looking at something here. I talked about family roles and characteristics. I thought this was interesting. So listen up to all you lost children out there. But a lot of times they say outer characteristics of the lost child can include is really at ease with others, a loner, tends to like. I was like, I'm laughing because I'm like, anytime I do one of these, I start to go like,
bro.
no, I'm laughing because I'm like, is it me? Is it me? Like, it's like I personalize everything. Probably talk about distorted thinking every
They
time.
wear hats all the time.
They have a mustache. No, but like may read, listen to music, or look at the TV a lot. Shut the fuck up. Tries not to be a bother. I can't. I am a bother. There's no doubt about it. Strong attachment to animals and no close friends.
You got like 3 cats.
2 of them are dead, bro.
Sorry.
I have 1 left.
Still with us.
But those are some outside characteristics, and then the inside characteristics. They feel different. They feel like an outsider. Low self-worth, and they feel forgotten.
Yeah. So one of the comments someone said on there.
Yes.
Oh, they're probably that the parents treat them this way because they don't love them.
Ooh.
And so
Maybe I didn't read this one.
yeah. So I wanted to just comment on that because no, that's not true. Like that's not the reason why the lost child feels lost in the family dynamic. It's actually because the family is so preoccupied with
so much stuff going on. Yeah.
All the stuff in the family that they don't know. The way that they give attention to family members is when they act out.
Yeah.
And so the lost child doesn't act out.
Just disappears. Yeah. So, do you think one of the things I did read was that like the lost child tends to be, doesn't always have to be this way, but like a lot of times it's the third child, they said. So a lost child's, it's probably the bigger the family. There's more, of course, based on how many roles there is. There's more opportunity for roles. So I think I said this last time on the podcast, and I don't know if I did any research on it, but could the lost child be other roles? Or like if you're the lost child, you're the lost child?
No, I think you can, whenever we gave this presentation to the families, I think you identify with a lot of different roles.
Yeah.
And so the roles are very fluid.
Right.
Yeah.
What was the comment again? Will you say that one more time? I'm just letting it sink in. The comment. The
comment
about
was
the lost
that
child.
the reason why the parents treat the child that way is because they don't love them.
Wow.
They don't love the child.
That's probably coming from a lost child then, huh?
It might be, yeah. And I didn't think about it that way, but yeah, maybe the commenter really felt that way about just their parents, and maybe, and that's true. They don't feel very loved and cared for, right?
Yeah.
They don't feel important.
I think that's an important emphasis on like the family dynamic, and I guess maybe starting with the heads of that family dynamic, the mother and the father, to make sure you do your best to try to know, let the kids know, all the kids know, like the importance and the role that they play and how much they do love them. Because as families get bigger, it is easier to get lost, and particularly if somebody in that dynamic is becoming the enabler or the focus of attention negatively, possibly, or maybe hell, even like, I don't know if positively, if somebody was like doing so great. Yeah, I guess I've probably seen that where somebody's like, they're doing so great in the family, like this person's going to be our whatever, our future something, and the other kids kind of don't get that focus of attention. Like maybe that person has a skill or something that I could see other people kind of getting left behind or are lost behind. Yeah. So yeah, it's really important, like more now than ever. I mean, wish we could go back in time like I was Marty McFly and change things. But if you have an opportunity and you're raising a family now, like tell your kids that you love them and show them and be present. Manny and I were talking about this, how much we are a role model for our kids. Like we model their behavior, and I don't, Manny didn't express it so much. Me, like I just look at everything to where it's like can be a little unhealthy because there's like so much anxiety and like I don't want to make a mistake, but we're gonna make mistakes. But it's important just to like, if we do have an error, we talk about it with our kids and like just change things. Right?
It's why it's important to go to therapy individually, even if it's not as a family or a couple. Like, I think you can learn so much about yourself, learn how to respond as opposed to react to certain situations, because there's always going to be family crises, family drama. But if you have that support and those tools to be able to react in a good way, you can avoid sort of unhealthy dynamics, unhealthy ways of thinking.
I don't want to like anything else on the lost child you think is important to like bring up? I know we could probably go into like further detail, but that's like not our core.
You missed my segue.
I did.
Unhealthy ways of thinking.
You should just go. Speaking of that, you could just do it yourself. You're the one who keeps setting me up here.
I'm serving your plates,
I know, and
dog.
I keep missing.
Come on.
Freaking out the left field or foul ball or whatever. Or
right. I
interception.
Interception.
Just kidding.
Hole
I know
in
my
one.
sports ball. We already talked about this in every episode.
Yeah.
Go Raiders. This week we are going to talk about. Look at this guy squirming. It's like Go Raiders. Look at his face.
Coping mechanisms.
Remember that episode we did? All Raider fans are terrible people.
Coping mechanisms. I got hit up about that, but
you did, right?
Yeah.
You got some mad.
I have love for everybody.
You apologize to the Raider fans?
I have love.
Say it.
I didn't insult them.
Say you're sorry.
I didn't really insult them.
You kind of insulted them.
No.
I sat right here. Same hat, maybe different shirt and jacket.
I hope so.
I rotate outfits, but like.
But the Raider fan, you know what the Raider fan said to me? He's like, you know what? You're right. He said, we are obnoxious.
Here we go.
And he said this. He said,
humility in this
he
man's
said,
voice.
I don't know what happens. I'm a good man, but when I turn that TV on, like something just clicks inside, and I was like, dude. And you know what? I said back to them, like, you know what? I appreciate that. And, I'm a little jealous because you guys always, like, take over our stadium and it gets a little rowdy. So that's probably where that came from. So
yeah.
It's all good.
Speaking of segues, I just want to do the worst segue all the time. So this week, we thought that collectively, I wanted to talk about some distorted thinking patterns. Where that starts, a lot of it is from CBT. Manny, I want you to just like school these people as we start the clock. Professor, Mr. Therapist, Emmanuel Romero.
So CBT, what is CBT?
What is CBT?
I'm glad you asked. So CBT stands for cognitive behavioral therapy. And it is
who started that CBT?
It is a modality started by Aaron Beck. Thank you for asking.
You like Beck, the musician?
No, I don't know who that is.
Okay. In the time of chimpanzees, I was a monkey. Anyways, back to Aaron Beck.
Okay.
I'm a loser, baby. Why don't you kill me? No.
Oh my God.
It's a 90s thing.
I have to report that.
That was good. Back to Aaron Beck. So he was like the guy. He was
the guy. He developed this theory back in the 60s, back when my dad was not even born. And so it's a popular modality because it's been around for so long.
CBT is like there's so many different modalities when it comes to therapy. There's CBT, DBT, there's ACT, there's a lot of other ones, but that's kind of like the core one that like.
This is a big one, yeah. And
not the other ones are not big, but
I mean, there's a lot of newer solution focused.
Yeah.
There's emotion focused. But so CBT really just talks about like that we have ways of thinking. We rationalize. We create thoughts around the different experiences we have. The idea is that when someone is experiencing issues, mental health problems, there's probably something that they are a way of thinking that's happening that's not being very productive for them, that's leading to them having emotional problems. So I'll read this. CBT is based on core principles, in part faulty or unhelpful ways of thinking.
I'm trying to get you on your face on the camera.
CBT is based on these core principles. Psychological problems are based on faulty or unhelpful ways of thinking. They're based on learned patterns of unhelpful behavior, and they can be treated by learning how to better cope with these behaviors. So yeah.
Did you go?
You told me 2 seconds, so I did it.
Yeah, that was pretty good. Did you want to go through like the cognitions?
Yeah, so I think the important thing about CBT to know
bust this out, bro. You did it so sweet.
Oh, dude.
Here we go.
Is that the environment impacts your being as a person, and it can impact your being in certain ways. One, something could happen that leads you to think something. Something can happen that leads you to feel bodily sensations. Something can happen that leads you to behave in a certain way, or something can happen that can trigger emotions. And based on all these things, you create thoughts around what happens. So let's say if I have a reaction of like a very reactive sort of like jumpiness, I could create a rational thought about, hey, like I'm jumpy because I'm scared because someone is going to break into my house. And so the idea behind CBT is to challenge thoughts that are leading you to become more anxious, more depressed, more emotionally disturbed, because we're probably creating biased thoughts based on our upbringing.
Yeah.
And so, what are some of the unhealthy ways of thinking that maybe we want to talk about today?
Yeah. So there's like 15 styles of distorted thinking. We went through the list today, and we're not going to be able to go through all of them.
I got through that pretty good.
That was pretty good. You went through that really fast.
Oh,
you could have slowed it down a little bit.
So
was it just because the camera was on?
I just think you told me to rush it, so
did I say to rush it?
No, you didn't. You said it in a different way. That was a distorted thought.
It was good job. Yeah. So we went through the 15 distorted like styles of thinking, and I was throwing them at Manny. I was like, so we'll pick a few. We're gonna talk about them, what they mean.
Yeah.
The first one I said, hey Manny, which do you like this or not? Yeah. I was like, which one do you want to start with? And we talked about polarized thinking, right? So it's the idea of that like polarized thinking is thinking that things are black and white. They're either good or bad, and you have to that's kind of like there's no middle ground.
There's no in between.
Yeah, there's no in between, right? So
one of the things that I think about is when I have polarized thinking, it's you're either, and kids really suffer from this, right? It's like you're either behaving good or you're behaving badly, and like there is just this generalization of who they are based on the ways that they behave.
Yeah, I think that's a real common one that I experience. Is like, I think it stems from the idea that we can't really. It's hard to take. It's hard to take negative.
Yeah.
I so often I'll talk to clients in group, and they want to make sure they're talking about like being positive. They want to be positive because anything that they suggest might be a negative emotion, like people don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
And which
they feel that way. They think that people don't want to hear it.
Based on like my experience and the things that I approach it, I think there tends to be like this favoritism to just be positive because it's because I think there's a lot of guilt with being negative, and I think we're also preaching the idea of like flipping the script, right? Like we want you to like look at the good things right now and don't look at the bad. And people don't want to look at the bad. People don't even want to look at the bad so much, like they can't even look at the past.
Yeah.
They're like, example, like somebody comes in, they're like, well, I've been drinking for 30 years, but I haven't drank in a week, and I want to move forward. I don't want to look back. I want to stay in the present, and kind of like that's going to resolve stuff, but it's not. So I've noticed this one pattern from clients is that when I try to create some conversation with the client, I might be like, hey, so let me ask you guys, is Johnny over there, has he been isolating in the community? Do you think Johnny, does he talk a lot? So I'll ask like all his peers in front of him, like kind of really calling out the issue. And often the clients will want to rally around that one person. I get it. There's a bond you created when you're going through treatment, right? You have this bond. So the people are very protective. Like it almost becomes family because you're sharing these things that are so personal you've never talked about, right? And you feel so connected in such a short period of time. But I think this is going back to what we're talking about here is like occasionally, and it does happen occasionally, that somebody will go, yeah, that person is isolating. I see it. I wish that person would like come out and talk more to us when we're not in like a clinical setting. They didn't say exactly like that, but like, so once again, it's like we're so like we tend to make a left turn when something in front of us is like going to be a negative emotion or feeling, possibly shining a light on it. So back to the idea, I think that it's polarized thinking.
What's the racer's name? Talladega Nights.
Ricky
Bobby, right?
Yeah.
He uses black and white thinking.
Heck
right?
Yeah.
You're either first or you're last, right?
Yeah. That guy was a prophet, though, in a lot of ways, Ricky Bobby. No, but there is.
But he went through a tough time when he lost a race, right?
Yeah, yes, he did.
And so, like, it was what?
Nothing. I just love that we just like reference Ricky Bobby on
Dude,
this
Ricky Bobby
discussion. Yeah,
don't judge us. But it's
no,
it's something related. It's something relatable though that people
it is.
can
It's good.
Yeah.
I laugh because I love our draw to our attention. Like I'll talk about The Sopranos or like Sons of Anarchy, all the things that we like love that does influence like our thinking and our thoughts and our feelings, our comedy, stuff like that. So
there was there's actually a book called You're Either First or You're Last.
Yeah.
And it's by like a salesperson,
Is
and I
it?
read it one time.
Yeah.
And it made me feel so shitty because I was like, man, like I'm not doing these things, so I must really suck, like, you know, as a business owner.
Yeah.
And I remember I was talking to my therapist about it, and he's like, yeah, maybe it's not healthy for you to read these like black and white books. I'm like, yeah, you're probably right.
You know, speaking of like the whole polarized thinking, when it comes to like black or white, are there some things where it is black and white, so maybe it's hard, or there be some things where it's black or white, there is no middle ground, like
what?
I don't know. I'm just throwing
as you saying that, are you thinking about something specific, or are you just asking?
No, I'm just kind of throwing it out there into the universe and see if, like, you know how you throw up that football for me, and I use that baseball to knock it out of the city. Sports.
Yeah, sports. Sammy Sosa over here. I think that I don't know.
Sam on steroids.
Yeah,
on the juice.
You on the juice? I think that I don't know, because I'm from the line. I'm from the line of thinking that what we experience is based on our unique perceptions, right? Like we have a unique lens.
Yeah.
And so you might think something's black or white, but that doesn't mean I do. And so as a therapist, because I'm not just looking at my own perspective, I have to hold enough space for gray.
Okay.
Right. And so, or else I can't see clients who like don't share my exact perspective. Right. And so I think there's healthiness in that, like being able to have some like gray. Right.
Right.
Are you asking, is there things that are right or wrong? I mean, gosh, we're talking
it wasn't
about morals,
really, but I like
right?
where you're going with that. So there's probably some things that are right or wrong. You know? There's no like gray and like, you know, maybe hurting somebody, but I laughed. Sorry, I laughed uncomfortably. I was like, first I was like, what would be a reason to hurt somebody? I was like, well, I could probably think of some reasons might be a valid reason to hurt somebody, but there are certain things that we grow up on and we're taught. And there's probably not black and white. Quickly, I guess I was thinking.
Don't tell me, because I'll have to report you. Remember that?
Did you? Yeah, I'm gonna get reported on.
Like, did you make that joke twice in one podcast?
I was like, did you make that last episode? Jeez, man. Really on the clock this time. I was thinking like black or white, maybe because we talk about mental health, we talk about recovery. When it comes to like recovery, right? It's like you're sober or you're not, though. There's no like gray. I think there's not a lot of flexibility. And that's why a lot of times they'll say
old school recovery.
There's half measures and there's full measures, right? So there's the idea of like, you're either going to do this, you're going to take those half measures, or you're really going to commit to it.
It depends on what school of thought you're talking about, though. Because are you talking about, maybe AA will say that, but I think smart recovery might not.
I don't know. Well, maybe how about like as a family member, or they might be like, hey, you know, black or white, like you're either going to stay clean in this house, and if you don't, like, you're out. Like there can't be. I mean, we just recently did an episode on boundaries, right? So like that's kind of where I guess a boundary could be polarized thinking. Yeah. But we're talking more in the sense of like distorted thoughts, where how this could. And I know we're kind of going down maybe a rabbit hole a little bit, which is good. This is what we do on the show.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, we're just unstructured. But but we're talking about these in the way to like how you see yourself, how you hold yourself to certain things, and like holding yourself to a black and white measures could really lead you down a bad path, because you're either winning or you're losing. You're either succeeding or you're failing. You're either healthy or you're unhealthy. And
that's good. Yeah,
I think that there is gray. Like I think that we're people, we make mistakes, like we spoke about a couple times now, and like because you make a mistake doesn't mean you're bad. Doesn't mean you're incompetent or you are not capable. You know,
no, making mistakes is a part of life. So, and the whole Ricky Bobby mentality. Like if you're not first, you're last. But with that being said, I think that I don't know, maybe we have to be in last place sometimes to realize like what first place could actually feel like. Yeah, you know, we gotta lose at life sometimes to feel like a real winner.
Damn, bro. All these zingers.
Back to what we talked about Dwayne Johnson, like sometimes we gotta get rock bottom to really drop the people's elbow on somebody.
Look at that. That's amazing.
But yeah, polarized thinking, a very common one when it comes to distorted thoughts. Do we want to talk about some coping skills? I think we kind of covered coping skills on polarized thinking, right? Just the idea of like seeing that there is a middle ground in those losing experiences.
Self-compassion. You know, I don't know if I mentioned this in the last podcast that a while ago, but
6 months ago.
I made this reel because I was having a discussion with a client of mine, and I think self-compassion, I'm saying this because I think for all of these that we're about to go to, self-compassion is important. I feel like self-compassion is one of those things that if you learn to do, it will take care of like 80% of like the mental health issues that you struggle with, or the life issues that you struggle with.
Yeah.
And I just think it's something super important to practice as a coping skill. Polarized thinking. If you get into this black or white, because I didn't win first place, I must suck, or because I'm not, if you're a therapist, I'm not like acing every session and making everybody cry and having all these insights, I must be a sucky therapist.
Yeah.
If whatever it might be for you, be more self-compassionate. Like, what did you do well?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, it's good. I covered on that. I mean, we don't have a lot more time. We probably can. I'll name off a few, and then I don't know. Should we go into detail about them, or should I just say what some of them are?
Yeah. Just say what the next one is.
The next one I was gonna do was filtering, which is basically you're only hearing. It's kind of once again tied into the black and white thinking, right? You're only hearing like the bad parts of a conversation instead of hearing the good,
or only hearing the good versus the bad.
Yeah,
someone who doesn't take good criticism, maybe, right?
The feedback. Yeah. So like, if you're in a relationship and somebody's, that's an example of like, hey, I don't like it when you don't let me finish my statements. But I think overall, like you're really good with your communication, and I appreciate for you, trying to learn and get better. If you get stuck on that one thing, and then the other two, you're just kind of like, I did not, I only held on to the one negative thing. Like that creates a spiral for a lot of people.
Or you heard that situation where you're going up to someone and said, hey, like you're an amazing employee, you're doing so many great things, and they're just waiting for the but.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like the thing that I think we've brought up before. It's like when you get called in the office, a lot of times people are expecting like the worst. They're not expecting like this praise. They're like, oh, I'm being called in by the boss because the hammer's going to drop. Like it's, they figured it out.
Yeah.
I'm a terrible person and a terrible worker and a terrible human being. And it's just like, I even do that like with clients. I think I've said this before. I'll say it again, but like clients will walk by and I'll be like, hey, I want to talk to you later. And the kind of mentality is like, what did I do? Because they're already kind of shame-ridden, like guilt-based. Like, and I'm like, and I'll say this. I'll be like, hey, I want to talk to you later. Everything's good. I just want to talk to you. Yeah. And I'll say that, try to like lessen the blow. I can't go in their heads. I feel like there's still that sense of like, there must be something out that's bad. Jesse doesn't want to talk to me about something good. Yeah. So.
The next one is catastrophizing.
Catastrophizing. Yes.
I have an example for this one. Catastrophizing is taking something really small and making it really big. Yeah. So one of the things I'm super, like I was talking about the emotional monitoring, right? I'm super hyper vigilant about like the way people react and respond. And so sometimes what will happen is a situation where like maybe I'll ask somebody for a favor. I'll ask them. I always like to buy people lunch or to like pay for their whenever we go out.
Yeah,
right?
dude. But I love this guy.
But sometimes like it's important to be like, hey, like can we split the bill, right?
Yeah.
And so one time I did that, and I got the response of like, okay, sure. And it wasn't like, oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. And so, based on that little information, I was like, oh my gosh, this guy like totally thinks I'm a cheap ass. Like they totally think, like I'm I don't know, I'm mean, or they're totally gonna hate me. They're not gonna talk to me. They're not gonna want to come out with me. So I catastrophized one little interaction and made it like completely big.
Why do you like to do that?
What?
Like kind of like be the guy who like
I'm a people pleaser.
Yeah. I know I do it sometimes because I didn't come from a lot of money, and I don't want people to realize that like I was poor when I was a kid. So I'm like, there's almost like that stuff from the past. So like I'll go, I'll try to like front and pretend like things are well financially. Yeah. So
nice. I like to do it because I like to make people feel happy and good. Yeah. I'm like, dude, I got you, dude. I want to make you feel good.
Well, man, I told you, bro. Buy me lunch all the time.
That's why I like to pound it.
We're almost out of time here. There's some, like I said, there's 15 in total. Oh,
there's so many good ones though.
Yeah, like there was.
Got a part 2.
Yeah, we could do a part 2, but there's like mind reading, which would be what mind reading is just assuming people like are thinking a certain thing without them actually.
This happens a lot in relationships, right?
Yeah,
like you're thinking your wife. What's that meme where it's like the couple's in bed and the wife is like, he must be thinking about this right now.
He must be thinking about cheating, and then he's like looking up reels of The Rock, like, will The Rock wrestle again? You know, so like, yeah,
that's mind reading.
That's mind reading right there. And then the shoulds. I wanted to touch on the shoulds really quickly here because like, it's a what if. The shoulds when it comes to distorted thinking is like, what if this would have happened? If I would have, maybe they're dealing with like the repercussion of something. It doesn't have to be that, but the idea of like, what if I would have done this? What if I would have done that? Like maybe my life would have been this or my life would have been that.
So what if? Yeah, it's also holding yourself to maybe an unreasonable standard sometimes, right? Yeah. Like, man, I should have known this. I should have known that. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So cool, man. Like I said, we got a lot of these to cover, but we're out of time.
Oh man.
Until next time.
Goodbye.